Did you know that Nigeria is Africa's most populated country? Well, before 2018, I didn't know that either. But then I met a woman through my dad, who he eventually married, who was a Nigerian immigrant. And since then, she's been a wealth of knowledge. If nothing else, as a country, Nigeria is deeply diverse. There are different languages, different religions, different ethnic groups, and more. During the next few minutes, we will be discussing Nigeria's rich culture, my personal connection to it, and an article about Nigerian healthcare. Let's talk about religion and belief systems first. In a bulletin titled Nigerian Unity, The Balance, published by the U.S. Army War College in 2013, less than 10% of Nigerians today practice indigenous African religions. Now, because of Muslim and Christian missionaries, approximately 50% of Nigerians today are Muslim and about 40% are Christian, and the tensions between the two are very high. There are no national or regional groups or organizations that are able to exercise religious authority over Islam or Christianity. And both of these groups extremely opposed to co-religionists. Now let's talk about some ethnic groups. There are between 200 and 350 different ethnic groups in Nigeria. Now 10 groups comprise 80% of the population, with 4 different language groups. With Hausa, 21%, Yoruba, 20%, Igbo, 17%, and Fulani, 7%, are the dominating 4. Now, ethnic groups are associated with the ancestral homelands, so geography. Hausa and Fulani in the north, Yoruba, southwest, and Igbo, southeast. Now, in a report titled Empirical Investigation of Factors That Impact E-Government Adoption in Nigeria, published by the University of Bedfordshire in 2019, Nigeria's average score for uncertainty avoidance was 55%. For power distance, it was 80%. And for individualism, 30%. Let's talk about uncertainty avoidance. Based on the score, there was not much preference there. Now, the power distance score directly reflects how they are comfortable with inequality and that everyone has their own place in society. Now, the score was not favorable for individualism, which reflects the fact that Nigeria is a collectivist in society. This reinforces the fact that people of Nigeria work as a whole. They have an extremely powerful sense of community, unlike anything we've ever seen in the U.S. Now that we've discussed a few core pieces of Nigerian culture, let me tell you why this is relevant to me. As I said, my dad met Grace, or her Nigerian name, Anulika, in 2018. They were married shortly after, and Grace had a daughter named Unuma. She's now 7, and she suffers from sickle cell anemia. In 2020, they had a daughter named Mialandi, and she's now 3 years old. My whole life, I wanted a sister. I grew up with 3 brothers. And now, finally, in my 30s, I have 2. Now, let's talk about food. I have tasted a few Nigerian dishes, but let me tell you what, Nigerian food is spicy. I mean, so spicy that when they know they're cooking for Americans, they make it way less spicy. Now, my favorite dish, and Grace makes this for me, thank God, is called chicken stew with dough. Now, dough looks like mashed potatoes, but it's a thicker consistency, and you use it like bread to sop up sauce. Delicious. Now you know how Nigerian culture relates to me. Let's discuss an article about a universal issue. This article is from theconversation.com, and it's titled, Nigerian Women Ensure They Get the Best Healthcare by Managing Unequal Power Relationships with Men. This goes on to say that Nigerian feminist scholar Obioma Nemika describes feminism in African context as a matter of negotiation and compromise. She calls this negofeminism, and it involves give and take as opposed to confrontational exchanges. Now, there is no secret that Nigeria is a patriarchal society. These reporters speak to Nigerian women about how they access maternal health care and make decisions about their care, and how they manage being heard in a Nigerian man's world. Now, they discuss the interactions, and some Nigerian women turn over their decisions to their husbands. Their husbands appreciate this decision and let them make their own. Now, if they were to go behind their husband's back to make these decisions, this could lead to divorce, which can result in the person being completely ostracized from their community. Now, in this article, it states shocking statistics. Due to limited access to health care, this contributes to 556 pregnancy-related deaths per 100,000 live births. UNICEF reports that Nigeria contributes to 10% of global pregnancy-related deaths. Now, after looking at my final point about the article, let's begin to close. We've just discussed Nigerian culture, my personal connection to it, and an article about Nigerian women accessing healthcare in regards to gender inequality. So now, when someone asks you about the oddly shaped country in the northeast corner of the Gulf of Guinea, you might be able to share some interesting facts about Nigeria. Thank you.